AI Chat, Carnivore Diet Posts by Joachim Bartoll. Summary. The source is an audio excerpt from a podcast episode discussing time-restricted eating, a form of intermittent fasting. The speaker, Haim Bartle, argues that time-restricted eating is beneficial for health and detoxification, especially when combined with a nutrient-rich diet. He criticizes the standard nutritional counseling promoted by the medical community, which he claims is inadequate and often leads to a reliance on pharmaceutical interventions. Bartle emphasizes the importance of limiting eating to a shorter window each day, allowing for a fasting period that promotes fat burning and cellular repair. He stresses the need to avoid processed foods and beverages and advocates for a diet primarily consisting of animal-based foods. Ultimately, the source promotes time-restricted eating as a natural, effective approach to health and wellness, in contrast to the pharmaceutical-driven medical model. Cruciferous vegetables, late bedtimes, and cholesterol, an FAQ. 1. Do cruciferous vegetables really lower blood pressure? While some studies show that cruciferous vegetables can temporarily lower blood pressure, this effect is likely due to the body's response to toxins found in these vegetables. The author argues that these toxins cause vasodilation and interfere with the sympathetic nervous system, leading to a short-term drop in blood pressure. This, however, comes at the cost of cellular damage as the body tries to neutralize and eliminate these toxins. 2. Is going to bed late bad for my health? Yes, consistently going to bed late can negatively impact your health. The author explains that our circadian rhythm influences hormone release, with human growth hormone, HGH, peaking between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Going to bed late reduces this crucial HGH peak, impacting tissue regeneration, repair, detoxification, and fat burning. This can increase the risk of type 2 diabetes, obesity, and cardiovascular disease. 3. What's the truth about cancer statistics? The author questions the reported decline in cancer death rates, arguing that it's misleading. He suggests that doctors are instructed to record the specific cause of death rather than attributing it to cancer, even if the patient had a cancer diagnosis. He emphasizes that cancer is a natural defense mechanism against a high toxic load and dietary issues, and death usually occurs from complications arising from these underlying causes. 4. Is cholesterol in food really bad for me? The author strongly disagrees with the notion that cholesterol in animal-based foods is harmful. He argues that cholesterol is an essential component of every cell in our body and plays a vital role in hormone production, vitamin D absorption, and bile production for fat digestion. He suggests that the focus on cholesterol in processed foods is misguided, as the real culprits are the added sugars, unhealthy fats, and chemicals. 5. What causes fatty liver disease? The author asserts that fatty liver disease, like obesity and type 2 diabetes, is primarily caused by a diet high in carbohydrates and seed/vegetable oils. He refutes the claim that saturated fat contributes to the problem, emphasizing that these fats are essential for our bodies. He recommends avoiding processed foods, sugary drinks, and seed oils while prioritizing a diet rich in animal-based fats. 6. Are statins really beneficial for older adults? The author vehemently disagrees with the recommendation for older adults to take statins. He reiterates that cholesterol is vital for cellular repair, especially in the brain, and statins, by lowering cholesterol, impede the body's healing processes. He claims that statins contribute to cognitive decline and increase the risk of serious health complications, suggesting that a diet rich in saturated fats and cholesterol is far more beneficial. 7. What's the best way to do time-restricted eating? The author recommends a 6 to 8 hour eating window followed by a 16 to 18 hour fasting period for optimal benefits. He stresses the importance of finishing the last meal of the day at least 4 to 6 hours before bed to ensure a fasted state during sleep, allowing for enhanced detoxification and tissue repair. He also advises against consuming calorie-free beverages during the fasting period, suggesting that only purified water should be consumed. 8. Can I get enough hyaluronic acid from supplements? The author discourages the use of hyaluronic acid supplements. He explains that while they may provide temporary benefits, they cannot be fully metabolized, leading to accumulation and potential damage. He highlights that a decline in natural hyaluronic acid production is primarily due to a diet high in carbohydrates and low in animal fats. He suggests that a carnivore diet combined with prolonged fasting can boost natural production, improving skin health and slowing down the aging process. Understanding cholesterol, cancer, and the human diet, a study review. Quiz. According to the audio excerpts, what is the primary mechanism by which cruciferous vegetables lower blood pressure? Why does the author of the audio excerpts criticize the use of statins, particularly in older adults? What is the author's critique of the commonly held belief that good and bad cholesterol exist? The audio excerpts claim that attributing fatty liver disease to obesity and diabetes is a flawed approach. Explain the author's reasoning. How does the author link late bedtimes to an increased risk of conditions like diabetes and obesity? According to the audio excerpts, how do lifestyle factors like diet and environmental toxins contribute to early onset cancer? Why does the author advocate against the use of hyaluronic acid supplements? Explain the concept of time-restricted eating as presented in the audio excerpts. What are its purported benefits? The audio excerpts are highly critical of plant-based diets. Summarize the author's main arguments against such diets. What is the author's perspective on the effectiveness of medications in addressing conditions like fatty liver disease and high cholesterol? Essay questions. The author of the audio excerpts presents a strong argument against the consumption of plant-based foods. Critically analyze this argument, addressing both its strengths and weaknesses. Drawing upon the information presented, discuss the role of cholesterol in the human body. How does the author's perspective on cholesterol differ from conventional medical advice? The audio excerpts suggest a strong link between diet and various health conditions, including cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. Analyze this link, exploring the physiological mechanisms involved. The author argues that modern medicine often misinterprets the body's natural healing processes. Discuss this statement, using specific examples from the audio excerpts. Critically evaluate the concept of a natural human diet as presented in the audio excerpts. What are the implications of adopting such a diet, and what challenges might individuals face in doing so? Glossary of key terms. Acute poisoning, a sudden onset of symptoms caused by exposure to a toxin or poison. Androgens, hormones responsible for male characteristics, also involved in cholesterol synthesis. Atherosclerosis, hardening and narrowing of the arteries due to plaque buildup. Autophagy, the body's natural process of cleaning out damaged cells and regenerating newer, healthier cells. Bioavailability, the extent to which a nutrient or compound can be absorbed and utilized by the body. Circadian rhythm, the natural, internal process that regulates the sleep-wake cycle and influences hormone release. Cruciferous vegetables, vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and kale, known for their sulfur-containing compounds. Diastolic blood pressure, the pressure in the arteries when the heart is at rest between beats. HDL, high-density lipoprotein often referred to as good cholesterol, it helps remove excess cholesterol from the bloodstream. Hemoglobin A1c, a measure of long-term blood sugar control. Human growth hormone, HGH, a hormone that stimulates growth, cell reproduction, and cell regeneration. Hyaluronic acid, a substance naturally found in the body that helps lubricate joints and maintain skin elasticity. Hypertension, high blood pressure. Insulin resistance, a condition in which the body's cells become less responsive to the effects of insulin, leading to high blood sugar. LDL, low-density lipoprotein, often referred to as bad cholesterol, it carries cholesterol from the liver to the cells. Metabolic syndrome, a cluster of conditions, including high blood pressure, high blood sugar, excess body fat around the waist, and abnormal cholesterol levels, that increase the risk of heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. Phytoestrogens, plant compounds that can mimic the effects of estrogen in the body. Saturated fat, a type of fat found in animal products and some plant-based foods like coconut oil. Statins, medications that lower cholesterol levels in the blood. Systolic blood pressure, the pressure in the arteries when the heart beats. Time-restricted eating, a pattern of eating that limits food consumption to specific hours of the day, often involving periods of fasting. Trans fat, an unhealthy fat formed during food processing, known to increase the risk of heart disease. Visceral fat, body fat that is stored within the abdominal cavity around important organs, like the liver, pancreas, and intestines. Quiz answer key. Acute poisoning, the author states that compounds in cruciferous vegetables, being inherently toxic to humans, cause vasodilation to quickly eliminate the toxins. The author believes statins prevent the body from healing, particularly the brain, by inhibiting cholesterol production, which is crucial for cell repair. The author argues that LDL is not bad but is simply a carrier protein delivering cholesterol for tissue repair, while HDL removes unused cholesterol. The terms good and bad are misnomers. The author argues that all three conditions stem from the same root cause, a diet high in carbohydrates and seed/vegetable oils. Attributing one as the cause of another is an oversimplification. Late bedtimes disrupt the natural peak release of human growth hormone, HGH, which occurs during early sleep and is crucial for regulating glucose and lipid metabolism. The author emphasizes the cumulative effect of dietary toxins, especially from plant-based foods, and environmental toxins, leading to cellular damage that can contribute to early-onset cancer. The author asserts that supplemental hyaluronic acid is not bioavailable and can accumulate in the body, causing more harm than good. They recommend obtaining it through a natural diet. Time-restricted eating involves consuming food within a specific window, 6 to 8 hours, followed by an extended fasting period, 16 to 18 hours. This is said to promote fat burning, detoxification, and blood sugar control. The author argues that plant-based foods contain numerous toxins, are high in damaging carbohydrates, and lack the essential nutrients necessary for optimal human health. The author believes medications merely mask symptoms and inhibit the body's natural healing mechanisms, advocating for dietary changes as the primary solution. Briefing Doc, a look at recent health and nutrition claims. This briefing doc analyzes several recent articles and audio recordings focusing on health and nutrition. While they touch on various topics, a recurring theme is a critical view of modern dietary advice and the pharmaceutical industry. The author, seemingly Haim Bartle, consistently advocates for a carnivore diet as the optimal approach to health and longevity. Main themes. The carnivore diet as the optimal human diet. The author repeatedly argues that a carnivore diet, devoid of plant-based foods, is the natural and healthiest diet for humans. This assertion stems from the belief that plant compounds are inherently toxic and incompatible with human physiology. Critique of modern nutritional advice. The articles strongly criticize conventional dietary guidelines, claiming they are manipulated by the food and pharmaceutical industries to promote unhealthy eating habits and reliance on medications. The importance of cholesterol. The author challenges the demonization of cholesterol, arguing that it is essential for cellular repair and overall health. The rise in LDL cholesterol is viewed as a positive sign, indicating the body's healing process. Dangers of statins. Statins, commonly prescribed to lower cholesterol, are heavily condemned. The author argues that they impede the body's natural healing processes, particularly in older adults, leading to cognitive decline and other health issues. Time-restricted eating and fasting. Time-restricted eating, TRE, and intermittent fasting are viewed favorably as they allow the body to enter a fasted state, promoting detoxification and fat burning. However, the author emphasizes the importance of correct timing and duration for optimal benefits. Key ideas and facts. Cruciferous vegetables and blood pressure. The author criticizes a study that found cruciferous vegetables can lower blood pressure, arguing that this effect is a result of acute poisoning and does not address the underlying causes of cardiovascular damage. Sleep and metabolic health. Going to bed late is linked to an increased risk of diabetes, obesity, and cardiovascular disease. The author attributes this to the disruption of the natural human growth hormone, HGH, release cycle, which peaks during early sleep. Cancer and alcohol. While acknowledging the link between excessive alcohol consumption and cancer, the author contends that the primary risk factor is a plant-based and processed diet. He suggests that cancer is a natural survival mechanism triggered by a high toxic load and nutrient deficiencies. Fatty liver disease. The author refutes the idea that obesity and diabetes cause fatty liver disease. Instead, he argues that all three conditions stem from a diet high in carbohydrates and seed/vegetable oils. Hyaluronic acid and aging. The author criticizes the use of hyaluronic acid supplements, claiming they are poorly metabolized and can cause harm. He suggests that a decline in natural hyaluronic acid production is primarily due to a toxic diet and that a carnivore diet, combined with prolonged fasting, can boost its levels. Quotes. You can never fix anything by adding a poison or a toxin or a nutrient that is not in a compatible chemical form. Cruciferous vegetables and blood pressure. There is no such thing as late chronotypes. That is a construct as it is not normal to human nature. It's a choice that you over the years have conditioned yourself to being used to. Going to bed late. You do not die of cancer. You die of complications from the extreme toxic load or in some cases from tumors getting too big. More on cancer. There is no such thing as bad cholesterol. You freaking retarded charlatans. Cholesterol is an essential component of cell membranes. Statins will kill older adults. And energy-free beverages, as in diet or light sodas, energy drinks, tea, or coffee should never be consumed. They are extremely unnatural and they are a toxic shitstorm of chemicals adding to your toxic load. Time-restricted eating. Never take a supplement unless it's naturally derived from an animal. Any chemically produced supplement is not even close to the chemical bioavailable structure of what your body will produce on its own. Vegan vs carnivore. Important considerations. While the information presented offers an alternative perspective on health and nutrition, it's crucial to note that many of the claims are presented without substantial scientific backing. The heavy reliance on anecdotal evidence and the dismissive language used towards differing viewpoints warrant caution. It's important to consult with qualified healthcare professionals before making significant dietary changes or discontinuing any prescribed medications. From the source material which I have uploaded to you, please list 30 takeaway key points for an elderly male in good health. What should I do to obtain optimal health, with a brief explanation supporting each of the key point. Optimal health recommendations for an elderly male. Here are 30 key points for an elderly male in good health to achieve optimal health, drawing from the provided sources. Diet. 1. Adopt a carnivore diet. This means consuming only animal-based foods, primarily fatty cuts of meat, and eliminating all plant-based foods. 1234. Animal-based foods are the only foods that provide bioavailable nutrients for humans and are free of toxins. 12. 2. Eliminate all carbohydrates. Carbohydrates break down into glucose, which is toxic in elevated amounts and damages blood vessels, organs, and soft tissues. 6789. 3. Focus on consuming saturated fats and cholesterol. These are essential for hormone production, cell membrane integrity, vitamin D absorption, and bile production. 11213. 4. Avoid all seed/vegetable oils. These oils contain unstable unsaturated fats that oxidize easily, forming harmful trans fats and contributing to cardiovascular disease. 791114. 5. Avoid processed foods, including processed meats. These foods are loaded with added sugars, unhealthy fats, chemicals, and lack essential nutrients. 1467. 6. Limit fructose intake. Fructose, even from fruit, is particularly harmful to the liver and can contribute to fatty liver disease. 10. 7. Do not consume alcohol. Alcohol is a toxin that damages cells and organs, including the liver and colorectal cells. 151922021. 8. Drink only purified water. Avoid all other beverages, including coffee, tea, energy drinks, and sodas, as they are filled with chemicals and add to your toxic load. 22. Sleep. 9. Go to bed before 10 p.m. This ensures you maximize the release of human growth hormone, HGH, which is crucial for fat burning, metabolism, tissue regeneration, and slows down aging. 142324. 10. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night. This allows for optimal tissue repair, detoxification, and hormone regulation. Lifestyle. 11. Engage in regular physical activity. This helps to use glucose as fuel, improve insulin sensitivity, and enhance overall health. 1018. Combine aerobic exercise and resistance training. 10. 12. Minimize exposure to environmental toxins. This includes avoiding pollution, using natural cleaning and personal care products, and limiting exposure to chemicals. 13. Manage stress levels. Chronic stress can negatively impact hormone balance, sleep quality, and overall health. Explore stress-reducing techniques like meditation, deep breathing exercises, or spending time in nature. 14. Get regular sunlight exposure. Sunlight is crucial for vitamin D production and overall well-being. However, if you experience redness or burning easily, it could indicate nutrient deficiencies, primarily a lack of animal-based vitamin A, retinol. 20. 15. Do not use statins. These cholesterol-lowering drugs interfere with the body's healing process and can lead to cognitive decline. 11132526. 16. Reconsider unnecessary medication use. Most medications are toxic and only mask symptoms without addressing the root cause. Discuss potential alternatives with a healthcare professional who understands the principles of a carnivore diet. Fasting. 17. Practice time-restricted eating, TRE, or intermittent fasting. Limit your eating window to 6 to 8 hours per day, allowing for a prolonged fasting period to enhance detoxification, fat burning, and cellular repair. 22. 18. Have your last meal at least 4 hours before bedtime. This ensures you enter sleep in a fasted state, optimizing the benefits of TRE. 22. 19. Consider prolonged fasting for 72 hours or more. This can further enhance autophagy, the body's cellular recycling process, which is beneficial for skin health, longevity, and overall well-being. 27-28. However, it's important to consult with a healthcare professional before undertaking prolonged fasts, especially if you have any underlying health conditions. Additional considerations for elderly men. 20. Focus on bone health. As men age, bone density naturally declines. Consuming bone-in meats and ensuring adequate calcium intake from dairy products like full-fat yogurt can help maintain bone strength. 16. 21. Maintain muscle mass. Age-related muscle loss, sarcopenia, can be mitigated by consuming sufficient protein from animal sources and engaging in regular resistance training. 22. Prioritize cognitive health. A carnivore diet rich in cholesterol and saturated fats supports brain function and may help prevent cognitive decline. 11-13. Consider incorporating brain-boosting activities like reading, puzzles, and social interaction. 23. Address any underlying health conditions. While a carnivore diet can be highly beneficial, it's essential to address any pre-existing health conditions with a healthcare professional who understands the principles of this dietary approach. 24. Be patient and consistent. Transitioning to a carnivore diet and implementing these lifestyle changes takes time and commitment. Be patient with yourself and focus on making gradual, sustainable changes. Understanding the body's natural processes. 25. Recognize that symptoms are often a sign of the body healing. Instead of suppressing symptoms with medication, focus on supporting the body's natural healing process through a nutrient-dense diet and lifestyle changes. 11. 26. Understand the role of inflammation. Inflammation is a natural part of the healing process and should not always be viewed as negative. 11. 26. 27. Embrace the concept of autophagy. This cellular recycling process is essential for removing damaged cells and promoting longevity. 2728. 28. Recognize the importance of detoxification. The body is constantly working to eliminate toxins. Supporting detoxification through diet, lifestyle, and fasting can enhance overall health. General principles. 29. Prioritize quality over quantity. Focus on consuming nutrient-dense foods, even if it means eating less overall. 30. Listen to your body. Pay attention to how your body responds to different foods and lifestyle changes. Make adjustments as needed to optimize your health and well-being. Remember, these recommendations are based on the information provided in the sources. It's always advisable to consult with a qualified healthcare professional to personalize your health plan and address any specific concerns or individual circumstances. What are the potential health benefits of time-restricted eating, TRE, and how does it compare to other dietary approaches? TRE benefits and comparison to other dietary approaches. Time-restricted eating, TRE, often seen in intermittent fasting, involves eating within a specific window each day and fasting outside that period. This approach, when combined with standard nutritional counseling, leads to modest improvements in glucose control and weight loss for adults with metabolic syndrome. 1. Weight management, TRE, particularly when combined with proper food choices, helps with weight management by promoting fat burning and reducing overeating. 1. Having a set eating window makes it harder to overeat, naturally leading to reduced calorie intake. During the fasting period, the body shifts to burning fat for energy, contributing to weight loss. Glucose control, TRE shows greater improvements in blood sugar control and hemoglobin A1C levels compared to standard nutritional counseling alone. 1. Limiting the time frame for eating helps reduce blood glucose spikes, leading to better control. Detoxification, while not explicitly mentioned in the source about TRE, other sources highlight the importance of fasting for detoxification. 234. Important note, this connection between TRE and detoxification is inferred from the benefits of fasting discussed in other sources. It is not directly stated in the source specifically discussing TRE. Prolonged fasting, particularly dry fasting, increases autophagy, the body's cellular recycling system, which plays a vital role in detoxification. 23. However, the sources emphasize that the choice of food is crucial for maximizing the benefits of TRE. A diet focused on animal-based foods, particularly a carnivore diet, is presented as the most beneficial for overall health, longevity, and effectively addressing conditions like fatty liver disease. 4567. Animal-based diet advantages. Bioavailable nutrients. Animal-based foods provide nutrients in a readily available form for humans. 67. Toxin-free. Unlike plant-based foods, which contain various defense chemicals and anti-nutrients, animal-based foods are free of toxins. 467812. This allows the body to function optimally and focus on healing and repair. Promotes healing. Animal fats, especially saturated fats and cholesterol, are essential for cellular repair and overall health. 67101113. These are crucial building blocks for cell membranes and play a vital role in various bodily processes. The sources strongly advocate against the following dietary approaches. Plant-based diets, these are seen as detrimental due to the presence of toxins and a lack of essential nutrients, leading to various health problems. 45912. Processed foods, including processed meats, are considered highly damaging due to added chemicals, unhealthy fats, and excessive carbohydrates. 61415. High carbohydrate intake. Excessive carbohydrate consumption is repeatedly cited as a primary driver of many modern diseases, including obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. 91511617. Optimizing TRE. Feeding window. A 6 to 8 hour feeding window is recommended for optimal results. 1. Fasting period. Aim for a 16 to 18 hour fasting period, including the time spent sleeping. Last meal timing. Consume your last meal at least 4 to 6 hours before bedtime to enter a fasted state before sleep. 1. Hydration. Drink only purified water during the fasting period. Avoid calorie-free beverages, as they often contain harmful chemicals. 1. Key takeaway. While TRE offers benefits for weight management and glucose control, combining it with a properly structured animal-based diet is crucial for maximizing its effectiveness and achieving optimal health and longevity. According to the author, how does consuming cruciferous vegetables lower blood pressure? Consuming cruciferous vegetables and blood pressure, the author's perspective. The author of the source 12345 argues that consuming cruciferous vegetables like kale, broccoli, and cauliflower does not actually benefit blood pressure but rather causes acute poisoning that results in a temporary decrease. The author strongly criticizes a study that found a decrease in systolic blood pressure during the day after participants consumed 4 servings of cruciferous vegetables daily for 2 weeks. 34. They contend that this blood pressure reduction is not a positive outcome but rather a physiological response to poisoning. Here's how the author explains this mechanism. Toxic compounds. Cruciferous vegetables contain various compounds like alkaloids, glycosides, and other volatile compounds that are toxic to humans. 4. Vasodilation. These toxins can cause blood vessels to widen, vasodilation, leading to a decrease in peripheral resistance and ultimately lower blood pressure. The author describes this as a necessary mechanism for the body to quickly eliminate the damaging toxins. 4. Interference with nervous system. Some toxic compounds in these vegetables interfere with the sympathetic nervous system, which normally constricts blood vessels. This interference further contributes to vasodilation and lower blood pressure. 4. Impact on heart function. Certain toxins can directly affect the heart, slowing down cardiac output and contributing to the observed decrease in blood pressure. 4. The author emphasizes that the seemingly beneficial blood pressure reduction comes at a cost. Cellular damage. The body undergoes significant stress and cellular damage while trying to neutralize and eliminate the toxins from cruciferous vegetables. 4. Nighttime effects. The study found an increase in nighttime diastolic blood pressure and heart rate in the group consuming cruciferous vegetables, indicating the body's struggle to detoxify during the night. 5. The author concludes that consuming cruciferous vegetables is not a solution for high blood pressure and likens it to trying to treat the pain from a broken finger by breaking two. 5. They argue that focusing on the root cause of high blood pressure, which they believe is primarily a poor diet, is the only effective way to address the issue. Copy_all. Thumb_up. Thumb_down. Keep_pin save to note. What are the supposed reasons for the increasing rates of early onset cancers? Factors contributing to increasing early onset cancers, insights from the sources. The sources offer a critical perspective on conventional medical and dietary advice, suggesting that the rising rates of early onset cancers stem from lifestyle and dietary choices that damage the body and hinder its natural healing processes. Here's a breakdown of the key factors highlighted. Toxic diet. The sources repeatedly emphasize that the modern diet, heavily reliant on processed foods, plant-based products, carbohydrates, and seed/vegetable oils, is a major contributor to the rise in early onset cancers. Processed foods. These foods are laden with chemicals, preservatives, and unhealthy fats that contribute to a high toxic load, overwhelming the body's detoxification mechanisms. Plant-based products. The sources argue that plants contain various defense chemicals and anti-nutrients that are inherently toxic to humans, leading to cellular damage and potentially contributing to cancer development. Examples highlighted include cruciferous vegetables. Compounds in these vegetables, while often touted as beneficial, are presented as toxins that can disrupt the body's natural processes and lead to cellular damage. Phytoestrogens. Compounds like those found in soy, legumes, and certain grains can disrupt hormonal balance, potentially increasing the risk of hormone-related cancers like breast cancer. Carbohydrates. Excessive carbohydrate intake leads to chronically elevated blood glucose levels, which the sources identify as a primary driver of tissue damage and a significant contributing factor to cancer development. Sugar. All types of carbohydrates break down into glucose, sugar, in the body, leading to the same damaging effects regardless of the source. Seed/vegetable oils. These oils, high in unstable unsaturated fats, are prone to oxidation and the formation of harmful trans fats, especially when heated. They are presented as major contributors to inflammation and cellular damage, potentially setting the stage for cancer development. Hindered healing processes. The sources argue that the modern medical approach often focuses on suppressing symptoms rather than addressing underlying causes, further contributing to the issue. Statins. These cholesterol-lowering drugs are heavily criticized for interfering with the body's natural healing processes. The sources contend that by reducing cholesterol availability, statins impede cellular repair, potentially accelerating the development of various conditions, including cancer. Other lifestyle factors. While the primary focus is on diet, the sources also highlight other lifestyle choices that can contribute to the problem. Alcohol consumption. Alcohol is identified as a potent toxin that damages cells and organs, potentially increasing cancer risk. Sedentary lifestyle. A lack of physical activity exacerbates the negative effects of a poor diet by reducing glucose utilization and contributing to higher blood glucose levels. Supplements. The sources caution against relying on supplements, arguing that they cannot effectively replicate the complex and bioavailable forms of nutrients found in natural, animal-based foods. The sources advocate for a carnivore diet, completely eliminating plant-based foods and focusing on animal-based products, as the optimal way to minimize toxic load, provide essential nutrients, and support the body's natural healing and detoxification processes. This dietary approach is presented as a key strategy for preventing and potentially reversing many modern diseases, including cancer. It is important to note that the sources present a very specific and critical perspective on the medical and dietary establishment. The information provided should be considered within the context of the author's viewpoints. What are the potential health benefits of time-restricted eating, TRE, and how does it compare to other dietary approaches? Health benefits of TRE and comparison to other dietary approaches. Time-restricted eating, TRE, similar to intermittent fasting, involves consuming food within a specific window each day and fasting outside of that window. Point 1. A common approach is to eat within a 6 to 8 hour window and fast for the remaining 16 to 18 hours. Point 1. Important benefits of TRE include weight loss, specifically fat loss, and improved blood sugar control, even when combined with a standard nutritional counseling diet. Point 1. This is because TRE allows the body to enter a fasted state, during which it prioritizes burning fat for fuel. Point 1. A standard nutritional counseling diet is described as plant-centric, low in essential animal fats, and high in carbohydrates and toxins. Point 1. TRE also makes it harder to overeat, leading to weight loss. Point 1. However, the most significant health improvements come from combining TRE with a carnivore diet, which consists solely of animal-based foods and eliminates plant-based foods completely. Point 12. The sources emphasize that carbohydrates are detrimental to health and are the primary factor behind many modern diseases. Point 2345. Therefore, a carnivore diet, combined with TRE, is presented as the most natural and effective way to optimize health and longevity. Point 12. Importance of diet and toxic load. The sources repeatedly stress the importance of a species-appropriate diet, specifically a carnivore diet, and minimizing the toxic load for optimal health and longevity. Point 2389. They argue that plant-based foods are inherently toxic to humans and contain numerous defense chemicals and anti-nutrients that damage cells and tissues. Point 481516. Carbohydrates are particularly harmful, as they elevate blood glucose levels, leading to various health problems, including obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and accelerated aging. 3456. Processed foods are also condemned, as they are loaded with unhealthy fats, added sugars, and chemicals that contribute to disease. Point 4101222122. The sources advocate for prioritizing animal-based foods, particularly fatty cuts of meat and organ meats, as they are the only foods that provide all the bioavailable nutrients humans need and are free of toxins. Point 1011152023. Minimizing exposure to other toxins, such as medications, drugs, and environmental pollutants, is also crucial. Point 38911314. Concerns with supplements and medications. The sources express strong concerns about supplements and medications, arguing that they are often toxic and ineffective in addressing the root causes of health problems. Point 81522224. Supplements are criticized for their inability to perfectly replicate the bioavailable forms of nutrients found in natural sources, leading to potential harm from accumulation in the body. Point 1524. Medications, particularly statins, are deemed dangerous, as they interfere with the body's natural healing processes and deplete essential nutrients like cholesterol. Point 61422325. The sources recommend focusing on a nutrient-rich diet and lifestyle changes to address health issues rather than relying on supplements or medications. Point 131415. It is important to note that these viewpoints on diet and health are presented as an alternative perspective to mainstream medical advice and should be considered with caution. Before making any significant dietary or lifestyle changes, it's essential to consult with a qualified healthcare professional. What are the physiological mechanisms behind TRE and how does it influence the body's metabolic processes? The impact of time-restricted eating on metabolic processes. Time-restricted eating, TRE, also known as intermittent fasting, involves consuming food within a specific time window each day and fasting outside of that period. This eating pattern influences the body's metabolic processes in several ways. Reduced caloric intake. TRE often leads to a reduction in overall caloric intake, as it limits the time available for eating and can reduce snacking. Point 1. This can contribute to weight loss, particularly fat loss, as seen in studies where TRE groups experienced greater reductions in fat mass compared to control groups. Point 1. Enhanced fat burning. During a fasted state, the body shifts to burning fat for fuel. Point 1. By extending the fasting period through TRE, individuals spend more time in this fat-burning mode. Improved blood sugar control. TRE can lead to improvements in blood sugar control and lower hemoglobin A1c levels. Point 1. This is because restricting carbohydrate intake to a specific window reduces the frequency and duration of blood glucose spikes. Point 1. Lower and less frequent blood glucose spikes result in less damage to cells and tissues. Point 1. Increased detoxification. Although not explicitly mentioned in the sources, it's important to note that fasting, a key component of TRE, can enhance the body's natural detoxification processes. This occurs because during a fasted state, the body can focus on eliminating toxins without the burden of digesting food. This information is not from the sources provided and you may want to independently verify it. To maximize the benefits of TRE, it's recommended to choose a feeding window. A feeding window of 6 to 8 hours is generally recommended. Point 1. Longer feeding windows may not provide sufficient fasting time for metabolic benefits to occur. Schedule the last meal strategically. Finish the last meal of the day at least 4 to 6 hours before bedtime to enter a fasted state before sleep. Point 1. This allows for optimal tissue repair and detoxification during sleep. Consume nutrient-dense foods. While TRE can improve metabolic health, it's crucial to consume nutrient-rich foods within the feeding window. The sources emphasize the importance of animal-based foods, particularly fatty cuts of meat and eggs, as they provide essential nutrients and are free of toxins. 123. It's important to note that the sources strongly advocate for a carnivore diet and advise against consuming plant-based foods, processed foods, and beverages other than water. 1234. They argue that these dietary choices can contribute to a high toxic load and numerous health problems. This information is specific to the perspective presented in the sources and should be considered in the context of broader dietary recommendations. What are the criticisms of TRAE and how does the information presented support or refute them? Criticisms of time-restricted eating, TRAE, and evidence from the sources. The sources provided do not contain specific criticisms of TRAE. However, they do offer information that can be used to understand potential concerns and counter-arguments. Standard nutritional counseling is criticized. The sources heavily criticize standard nutritional counseling, which is characterized as promoting a plant-centric diet low in essential animal fats and high in carbohydrates and toxins. 1. The implication is that TRAE's effectiveness may be limited if combined with this type of dietary advice. Emphasis on diet quality over timing. The sources consistently emphasize the importance of an animal-based diet, specifically a carnivore diet, for optimal health and longevity. 1234. The focus is on consuming nutrient-dense, bioavailable foods, rather than simply restricting eating times. Potential to mask underlying dietary problems. One could argue, based on the sources, that TRAE might allow individuals to experience some health benefits, such as weight loss and improved blood sugar control, without addressing fundamental dietary issues. 1. This could potentially delay the adoption of a more optimal, animal-based diet that the sources advocate. Limited focus on detoxification. While the sources acknowledge the benefits of fasting for detoxification, they do not explicitly discuss this in relation to TRAE. 1. A potential criticism could be that TRAE, with its shorter fasting windows, might not be as effective as longer fasts for promoting detoxification. Overall, the sources do not directly criticize TRAE. Instead, they highlight the paramount importance of an animal-based diet for overall health. The information presented suggests that while TRAE might offer some benefits, it should not be considered a substitute for a proper diet. What are the specific dietary changes the author advocates for and how do they relate to his views on high blood pressure and fatty liver disease? Specific dietary changes advocated by the author and their relationship to high blood pressure and fatty liver disease. The author strongly advocates for a carnivore diet as the optimal way to address health issues like high blood pressure and fatty liver disease. He believes that these conditions stem from a high toxic load and nutrient deficiencies caused by consuming a non-species appropriate diet. He explicitly states that plant-based foods are poisonous to humans, citing the presence of defense chemicals and anti-nutrients that damage cells and tissues. 12. He repeatedly criticizes the consumption of carbohydrates, arguing that they lead to chronically elevated blood glucose levels, which he sees as the root cause of many modern diseases, including high blood pressure and fatty liver disease. 3456. He specifically mentions that fructose, found in fruits, juices, and processed foods, is particularly harmful for the liver. 5. He also condemns seed/vegetable oils, claiming that they are highly unstable and readily oxidize, creating harmful compounds that contribute to cardiovascular problems and other health issues. 378910. The author believes that by adopting a carnivore diet, individuals can reduce their toxic load. Eliminating plant-based foods removes the constant exposure to defense chemicals and anti-nutrients. 12. Stabilize blood glucose levels. Cutting out carbohydrates prevents the damaging spikes in blood sugar that contribute to inflammation and tissue damage. 345. Provide the body with essential nutrients. Animal-based foods are the only source of bioavailable nutrients that humans need to thrive, according to the author. 11. He argues that this dietary approach allows the body to heal and restore its natural functions, leading to improvements in various health conditions, including high blood pressure and fatty liver disease. In the context of high blood pressure, he specifically mentions that cruciferous vegetables, while often touted for their health benefits, actually lower blood pressure through a mechanism of acute poisoning. 12. He explains that certain compounds in these vegetables cause vasodilation, widening of blood vessels, to quickly eliminate the toxins, leading to a temporary decrease in blood pressure. However, he stresses that this is not a solution, as it damages the body in the process. 12. The real solution lies in addressing the root cause of high blood pressure, which he identifies as damage to the cardiovascular system from high blood glucose, seed/vegetable oils, and plant-based toxins. 3. He argues that removing these culprits through a carnivore diet allows the body to heal and normalize blood pressure naturally. 1. Regarding fatty liver disease, he argues that obesity and type 2 diabetes, often cited as causes of fatty liver disease, are themselves consequences of a poor diet. 4. He emphasizes that it's the underlying dietary problem, excessive consumption of carbohydrates and seed/vegetable oils, that leads to all three conditions. 4. Losing weight can only help if the dietary factors contributing to fatty liver disease are addressed. 9. He criticizes recommendations to reduce saturated fat intake, stating that animal fats are essential for human health and do not cause fatty liver. 49. He dismisses the idea of medications for fatty liver disease, emphasizing that lifestyle changes, particularly dietary changes, are the key to resolving the issue. Point 13. He reiterates the importance of eliminating carbohydrates and seed/vegetable oils and focusing on animal-based foods for healing and recovery. Point 9. The author's viewpoints represent a stark departure from conventional dietary advice. He presents a compelling argument for the benefits of a carnivore diet, particularly for addressing conditions like high blood pressure and fatty liver disease. However, it's crucial to note that these views are not widely accepted within the mainstream medical community. It's essential to consult with a qualified healthcare professional before making any drastic dietary changes. They can provide personalized guidance and monitor your health to ensure your safety and well-being. How does the author explain the increase in nighttime aortic diastolic blood pressure and heart rate observed in the study on cruciferous vegetables? The author's explanation for the increase in nighttime aortic diastolic blood pressure and heart rate. The author attributes the increase in nighttime aortic diastolic blood pressure, DBP, and heart rate observed in the study on cruciferous vegetables to the body's struggle to detoxify from the toxic compounds present in these vegetables. He explains that detoxification processes are typically slowed down or even stopped during the day when we eat. Therefore, the body relies on the nighttime, particularly when we are in a fasted state several hours after our last meal, to carry out detoxification. Point 1. He points out that the study participants consumed 2 servings of cruciferous vegetable soup at lunch and dinner, leading to an accumulation of toxins that peaked during the evening and night. Point 2. The increase in nighttime DBP, which is the minimum blood pressure recorded just before the next heartbeat, suggests that the body is working harder to eliminate these toxins while the participants are sleeping. Point 3. Similarly, the increase in heart rate during the night further supports this notion, as it is a typical physiological response to stress and detoxification. Point 3. The author emphasizes that these findings demonstrate that consuming cruciferous vegetables is not beneficial, but rather leads to acute poisoning. Point 13. He argues that the observed decrease in daytime systolic blood pressure is not a true health improvement but a temporary effect caused by the body's attempt to quickly eliminate the harmful compounds. Point 1. He suggests that the body undergoes significant cellular damage during this detoxification process, further supporting his claim that cruciferous vegetables, and plant-based foods in general, are detrimental to human health. Point 1. The author's explanation aligns with his overall perspective that plant-based foods are inherently toxic to humans and should be avoided. He views high blood pressure and other health issues as consequences of consuming a diet that is not species appropriate. He advocates for a carnivore diet, which eliminates all plant-based foods, as the optimal way to support the body's natural healing and detoxification processes. What are the main points the author uses to argue that cancer is not a disease? The author's perspective on cancer. The author contends that cancer is not a disease but a natural survival mechanism, a protective response to an unhealthy internal environment. Here are the key points he uses to support this argument. Cancer as a defense mechanism. The author asserts that cancer, specifically tumor formation, is the body's way of shielding itself from toxins. He suggests that tumors serve as compartments to isolate and contain harmful substances, preventing them from causing further damage. Cellular adaptation to elevated blood glucose. He proposes that cancer can also arise as a consequence of the body's attempt to adapt to chronically elevated blood glucose levels, a condition he attributes to the consumption of carbohydrates. He posits that the uncontrolled cell growth characteristic of cancer is a way for the body to handle the damaging effects of high blood sugar. Lifestyle as the root cause. The author vehemently argues that all deaths, excluding accidents, before one's natural lifespan are ultimately caused by lifestyle choices, particularly diet. He believes that adhering to a non-species appropriate diet, especially one that is plant-based and processed, leads to a toxic load that overwhelms the body's defenses and ultimately manifests as cancer. Cancer treatment as harmful. He criticizes conventional cancer treatments like chemotherapy and radiation, claiming they are ineffective and even deadly. He believes these treatments attack a natural defense response, further weakening the body and exacerbating the underlying problem. Emphasis on a carnivore diet. The author strongly advocates for a carnivore diet as the solution to preventing and reversing cancer. He believes that eliminating all plant-based foods reduces the toxic load and provides the body with the essential nutrients it needs to heal and function optimally. Misleading cancer statistics. He suggests that official cancer statistics are manipulated to downplay the role of diet and lifestyle. He claims that doctors are instructed to attribute deaths to specific causes like organ failure, rather than acknowledging the underlying presence of cancer, thereby masking the true extent of the problem. In essence, the author views cancer as a symptom of a deeper imbalance within the body, primarily caused by a toxic diet and lifestyle. He believes that addressing these root causes through a carnivore diet is the only way to effectively prevent and treat cancer. It's crucial to emphasize that the author's views on cancer are not widely accepted within the mainstream medical and scientific community. While the role of diet and lifestyle in cancer development is acknowledged, conventional medicine approaches cancer as a complex disease requiring multifaceted treatment strategies. Before making any significant changes to your diet or health regimen, especially if you have been diagnosed with cancer, it is crucial to consult with a qualified healthcare professional. They can provide evidence-based guidance and ensure that your decisions are aligned with your individual health needs and circumstances. How does the author explain the link between late bedtimes and increased risk of diabetes and obesity? Late bedtimes, reduced HGH production, and increased risk of diabetes and obesity. The author explains the link between late bedtimes and an increased risk of diabetes and obesity through the lens of human growth hormone, HGH, production and its impact on metabolism. He argues that going to bed late disrupts the natural peak release of HGH, which occurs during the early hours of sleep, leading to a cascade of negative metabolic consequences. Circadian rhythm and hormone release. The author emphasizes that our circadian rhythm, our internal biological clock, plays a crucial role in regulating hormone release. He specifically highlights that HGH release typically peaks between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Late bedtimes disrupt HGH peak. Going to bed after 10 p.m., and especially after midnight, narrows this window of peak HGH release, resulting in lower overall production. Going to bed after 2 a.m. can completely eliminate this crucial peak. HGH's role in metabolism. The author explains that HGH is a potent fat burner and plays a critical role in regulating glucose and lipid metabolism. It stimulates the production of IGF-1, which helps release stored fat and glucose for energy. HGH itself promotes the efficient use of fat as energy, reducing the body's reliance on glucose. Consequences of reduced HGH. When HGH production is reduced due to late bedtimes, the author argues that the body's ability to manage blood glucose and lipid metabolism is compromised. This leads to increased risk of type 2 diabetes. The body struggles to process glucose effectively, potentially leading to insulin resistance and eventually type 2 diabetes. Fat accumulation and obesity. Inefficient fat metabolism and reduced fat burning contribute to increased fat storage, particularly around the waist and in the liver, increasing the risk of obesity and related metabolic disorders. Cardiovascular problems. The author links poor glucose and lipid metabolism to damage in the cardiovascular system, increasing the risk of heart disease and stroke. Other factors influencing HGH. While late bedtimes are a significant factor in disrupting HGH production, the author acknowledges that other lifestyle factors can also have a negative impact. He mentions poor diet quality, lack of physical activity, smoking, alcohol consumption, and inadequate sleep duration as contributors to lower HGH levels. However, he stresses that these factors do not affect the natural peak release of HGH during early sleep, which is primarily governed by our circadian rhythm. In essence, the author presents a compelling argument for the importance of aligning our sleep patterns with our natural circadian rhythm to optimize HGH production and support metabolic health. He views late bedtimes as a significant contributor to the development of diabetes and obesity, alongside other lifestyle factors. By prioritizing early bedtimes, we can support our body's natural hormonal balance and reduce our risk of these chronic conditions. What are the author's views on the effectiveness and ethical implications of using statins to lower cholesterol levels? The author's perspective on statins, ineffective and unethical. The author strongly condemns the use of statins to lower cholesterol levels, viewing them as not only ineffective but also ethically problematic. He bases his argument on the premise that cholesterol is an essential nutrient vital for various bodily functions, particularly cell repair and brain health, and that statins, by lowering cholesterol, interfere with these crucial processes. Here's a breakdown of the author's key points. Cholesterol is essential, not harmful. Fundamental building block. The author emphasizes that cholesterol is a fundamental building block of all cells in the body, playing a critical role in cell membrane structure and function. 1. Vital for repair and healing. He stresses that cholesterol is indispensable for cellular repair processes. 1. When tissues are damaged, whether due to injury, inflammation, or the effects of high blood sugar, cholesterol is transported to the affected areas to facilitate healing. Brain health and cognitive function. The author highlights the importance of cholesterol for brain health, particularly for the maintenance and repair of the myelin sheath that surrounds nerve fibers. 1. This process, known as remyelination, is essential for proper nerve function and communication. Statins disrupt healing and starve the brain. Blocking cholesterol production. The author explains that statins work by inhibiting the production of cholesterol in the liver, thereby lowering overall cholesterol levels in the blood. 1. Interference with healing. He argues that by reducing cholesterol availability, statins hinder the body's natural healing processes. This, he claims, can have serious consequences, potentially leading to organ failure and even death. 2. Detrimental to brain health. The author is particularly concerned about the impact of statins on brain health, especially in older adults. He asserts that by lowering cholesterol, statins deprive the brain of a vital nutrient needed for remyelination, leading to cognitive decline, memory problems, and potentially contributing to neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. 34. Misguided focus on LDL cholesterol. LDL as a carrier, not a villain. The author challenges the conventional medical view of LDL cholesterol as bad cholesterol. He clarifies that LDL is merely a carrier protein that transports cholesterol from the liver to the cells that need it. 3. Elevated LDL as an indicator of repair. He contends that elevated LDL levels are often a sign that the body is actively engaged in tissue repair. The presence of LDL and cholesterol in areas of inflammation or damage is not the cause of the problem, but rather a necessary component of the healing process. Misinterpretation of plaque buildup. The author argues that attributing plaque buildup in arteries solely to cholesterol is a misinterpretation of the underlying process too. He suggests that while cholesterol is present in these areas, it is there to facilitate repair, and that the root cause of the damage lies in factors like chronically elevated blood sugar from carbohydrate consumption and the presence of harmful trans fats from processed foods. Statins, a profit-driven deception. Symptom suppression, not true healing. The author criticizes the use of statins as a means of suppressing symptoms rather than addressing the root causes of cardiovascular disease too. He claims that the initial feeling of improvement reported by some statin users is due to the temporary cessation of the healing process, which leads to a reduction in symptoms. However, this comes at the cost of long-term damage as the body's ability to repair itself is compromised. Ethical concerns and profit motive. The author raises ethical concerns about the widespread prescription of statins, particularly to younger adults, who may experience decades of hindered healing and potential cognitive decline as a result too. He suggests that the pharmaceutical industry benefits financially from this approach, prioritizing profit over the well-being of patients. Addressing the root causes, a natural approach. Focus on diet and lifestyle. Instead of relying on statins, the author advocates for addressing the root causes of cardiovascular disease and other health problems through dietary and lifestyle changes. He emphasizes the importance of eliminating processed foods, reducing carbohydrate intake, and consuming a nutrient-dense, species-appropriate diet. Carnivore diet as the solution. The author consistently promotes a carnivore diet, which excludes all plant-based foods, as the optimal way to support the body's natural healing processes, reduce inflammation, and optimize overall health. 5. In conclusion, the author's views on statins represent a stark departure from mainstream medical opinion. He views cholesterol as a vital nutrient essential for health and longevity, and statins as a harmful intervention that disrupts the body's natural healing mechanisms. While his perspective is controversial and not supported by conventional medical research, his arguments raise important questions about the long-term consequences of cholesterol-lowering drugs and the need to prioritize a holistic approach to health that addresses underlying causes rather than simply suppressing symptoms. What lifestyle factors does the author believe contribute to the rise in early-onset cancers? Dietary and lifestyle factors contributing to early-onset cancers. The author attributes the rise in early-onset cancers primarily to poor dietary choices and an increased toxic load from various sources. He consistently emphasizes that the modern diet, characterized by processed foods, excessive carbohydrates, and harmful vegetable oils, is a major driver of chronic diseases, including cancer. Here's a breakdown of the key lifestyle factors he identifies as contributing to early-onset cancers. 1. Diet, the primary culprit. Processed foods. The author repeatedly condemns processed foods as toxic slave junk devoid of nutritional value and laden with harmful chemicals. He argues that the preservatives, flavor enhancers, colorants, and other additives in processed foods contribute significantly to the toxic load that overwhelms the body's natural defenses, potentially leading to cancer. 12. Excessive carbohydrates. The author identifies excessive carbohydrate consumption as a major driver of chronic diseases, including cancer. He explains that carbohydrates, regardless of their type, simple or complex, break down into glucose in the body, leading to chronically elevated blood sugar levels. This, he argues, damages tissues and organs, disrupts metabolic processes, and creates a favorable environment for cancer development. 345. Harmful vegetable oils. The author is particularly critical of vegetable oils, which he refers to as seed/vegetable oils. He explains that these oils are highly unstable and prone to oxidation, producing harmful compounds like aldehydes and trans fats that damage cells and contribute to inflammation. He argues that the widespread use of vegetable oils in processed foods and cooking is a major factor in the rise of chronic diseases, including cancer. 1678. Plant-based diets. While not explicitly addressing early-onset cancers, the author is generally critical of plant-based diets. He argues that plants contain numerous defense chemicals and anti-nutrients that are harmful to humans and interfere with nutrient absorption. He believes that a diet focused on animal-based foods is the most natural and healthy way of eating for humans. 391011. 2. Toxic overload from multiple sources. Medications and drugs. The author views medications and drugs as additional sources of toxicity that burden the body and contribute to the development of chronic diseases, including cancer. He specifically condemns statins, cholesterol-lowering drugs, as harmful interventions that interfere with essential healing processes and potentially starve the brain of vital nutrients. 41213. Vaccines. While not directly linked to early-onset cancers in the sources, the author expresses a general distrust of vaccines, suggesting they are part of a larger agenda to keep people weak and dependent on the medical system. Point 14. Environmental pollutants. The author acknowledges that environmental pollutants, including those found in everyday products like beauty and skincare items, contribute to the overall toxic load that can impact health and potentially lead to cancer. Point 14. 3. Disrupted circadian rhythm. Late bedtimes and reduced HGH. As discussed in our conversation history, the author links late bedtimes to a disruption in the natural peak release of human growth hormone, HGH, which occurs during early sleep. This reduction in HGH production, he argues, negatively impacts metabolism, potentially contributing to weight gain, insulin resistance, and an increased risk of developing chronic diseases like diabetes and cancer. 1516171819. 4. Other lifestyle factors. Smoking. The author acknowledges that smoking is a significant risk factor for various health problems, including cancer. However, he suggests that its impact is amplified when combined with a poor diet and other sources of toxicity. 7. Alcohol consumption. The author condemns alcohol as a potent poison that damages cells and organs. He views even moderate alcohol consumption as harmful and unnecessary. He links excessive alcohol intake to an increased risk of several types of cancer, particularly breast, colorectal, and liver cancer. 4920. Conclusion. The author presents a compelling, albeit controversial, perspective on the factors contributing to the rise in early-onset cancers. He places a strong emphasis on the detrimental effects of the modern diet, arguing that processed foods, excessive carbohydrates, and harmful vegetable oils are the primary culprits. He further contends that an increased toxic load from various sources, including medications, environmental pollutants, and even vaccines, compounds the problem. While some of his views may not align with conventional medical opinion, they highlight the importance of considering the broader context of lifestyle choices and their impact on overall health. What is the author's primary reason for arguing against the consumption of carbohydrates? The author's primary reason for condemning carbohydrate consumption, elevated blood glucose and its devastating health consequences. The author's core argument against carbohydrate consumption centers around the detrimental effects of chronically elevated blood glucose, which he directly links to a wide range of health problems, including cancer, cardiovascular disease, fatty liver disease, and accelerated aging. He contends that carbohydrates, regardless of their type or source, ultimately break down into glucose in the body, leading to this persistent elevation in blood sugar levels. Carbohydrates as the root of all evil. The author views carbohydrates as a fundamental dietary mismatch for humans, arguing that our species is not evolutionarily adapted to consume large amounts of these compounds. He repeatedly emphasizes that a diet rich in carbohydrates sets off a cascade of negative health consequences, starting with tissue and organ damage. The author explains that when blood glucose levels remain consistently high, it creates a toxic environment within the body, leading to damage to blood vessels, organs, and soft tissues. This damage, he argues, is a major contributor to the development of chronic diseases. Disrupted metabolic processes. The author contends that excessive carbohydrate intake disrupts crucial metabolic processes, leading to problems like insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, and ultimately, type 2 diabetes. Accelerated aging. The author links high blood glucose to accelerated aging, explaining that it contributes to the formation of advanced glycation end products, AGEs, which damage cells and tissues, impairing their function and contributing to the visible signs of aging. Examples from the sources. The author's condemnation of carbohydrates is evident throughout the sources, with specific examples highlighting the link between high blood glucose and various health problems. Cancer. In Source 1, the author argues that cancer is a natural emergency survival protocol triggered by the body in response to a high toxic load, including the damage caused by chronically elevated blood glucose from carbohydrate consumption. He suggests that tumors can form to shield off toxins or to upregulate cells to better handle high blood glucose levels, ultimately extending lifespan but at a cost. Cardiovascular disease. In Source 2, the author vehemently disagrees with the conventional medical focus on LDL cholesterol as the primary driver of cardiovascular disease. Instead, he points to chronically elevated blood glucose from carbohydrate consumption and the presence of harmful trans fats from processed foods as the true culprits, arguing that these factors cause the damage that LDL and cholesterol are then mobilized to repair. Fatty liver disease. In Source 3, the author directly refutes the claim that obesity and diabetes are the underlying causes of fatty liver disease. Instead, he argues that all three conditions stem from the same root problem, a diet characterized by excessive consumption of carbohydrates and harmful vegetable oils. Early onset cancers. In our conversation history, we discussed the author's belief that excessive carbohydrate consumption is a primary contributor to the rise in early onset cancers. He explains that the constant bombardment of tissues and organs with high blood glucose creates a favorable environment for cancer development. The carnivore solution. Eliminating carbohydrates. The author consistently advocates for a carnivore diet, which eliminates all plant-based foods and therefore all sources of dietary carbohydrates, as the optimal solution for preventing and reversing the damage caused by high blood glucose. He argues that this way of eating is the most natural and species appropriate for humans, allowing the body to function as intended, heal from past damage, and achieve optimal health and longevity. A note of caution. It is important to note that the author's views on carbohydrates and the carnivore diet are not universally accepted within the scientific and medical communities. While some research suggests potential benefits of low-carbohydrate diets, more rigorous studies are needed to confirm these findings and to assess the long-term safety and effectiveness of a carnivore diet. What is the primary reason the author believes high blood pressure is a symptom, rather than a disease? High blood pressure, a symptom of underlying damage, not a disease in itself. The author contends that high blood pressure, also known as hypertension, is not a disease in its own right but rather a symptom of underlying damage to the cardiovascular system. He argues that focusing solely on lowering blood pressure without addressing the root causes of this damage is akin to treating the smoke alarm instead of putting out the fire. The real culprits: carbohydrates, vegetable oils, and toxic overload. The author consistently points to the following factors as the primary drivers of cardiovascular damage and, consequently, high blood pressure. Chronically elevated blood glucose from carbohydrates. He explains that excessive carbohydrate consumption leads to a persistent state of high blood sugar, which damages blood vessels and contributes to the buildup of plaque, narrowing arteries, and increasing blood pressure. 12. Harmful compounds in vegetable oils. He argues that the consumption of vegetable oils, which he refers to as seed/vegetable oils, introduces unstable fats that oxidize easily, producing harmful compounds like aldehydes and trans fats. These compounds contribute to inflammation and damage within the cardiovascular system, further increasing the risk of high blood pressure. 12. Toxic overload from plant-based foods and processed foods. The author believes that the modern diet, heavy in processed foods and plant-based foods, contributes to a significant toxic burden on the body. He argues that these foods contain various anti-nutrients and defense chemicals that damage tissues and organs, including the cardiovascular system, potentially leading to high blood pressure. 12. Other toxic exposures. He acknowledges that additional sources of toxicity, such as medications, drugs, and environmental pollutants, can further exacerbate cardiovascular damage and contribute to high blood pressure. 3456. Cruciferous vegetables and blood pressure, a case of acute poisoning. In Source 1, the author specifically critiques a study that found a link between consuming cruciferous vegetables and a decrease in blood pressure. He dismisses this finding as evidence of acute poisoning rather than a genuine health benefit. He argues that the compounds in cruciferous vegetables, while potentially causing temporary vasodilation and lowering blood pressure, are inherently toxic to humans and cause cellular damage in the process. He explains that the observed decrease in systolic blood pressure during the day, after consuming cruciferous vegetable soups, was likely a result of the body's attempt to quickly eliminate these toxins by widening blood vessels and increasing blood flow. 7. He further notes that the study also observed an increase in nighttime diastolic blood pressure and heart rate in the intervention group, suggesting that the body was struggling to detoxify from the accumulated toxins consumed throughout the day. 8. The dangers of masking symptoms without addressing root causes. The author emphasizes that simply lowering blood pressure with medications, such as statins, without addressing the underlying dietary and lifestyle factors contributing to cardiovascular damage is a dangerous approach. 9. He believes that these medications often mask symptoms, creating a false sense of improvement while allowing the damage to continue unabated, potentially leading to more serious health consequences in the long run. 11. The solution: a natural human diet. The author consistently advocates for a return to what he considers a natural human diet, primarily composed of animal-based foods, as the most effective way to prevent and reverse cardiovascular damage and normalize blood pressure. 12411. This dietary approach, he argues, provides the essential nutrients the body needs to heal and function optimally while minimizing the toxic load that contributes to chronic diseases. What are 3 specific examples of how the author believes excessive alcohol consumption can lead to cancer? 3 ways excessive alcohol consumption can lead to cancer, according to the author. The author, in Source 1, explains that excessive alcohol consumption can contribute to the development of certain cancers. Here are 3 specific examples of how alcohol can increase cancer risk, based on the author's arguments. Liver cancer. Alcohol is well known to be harmful to the liver. The author states that regular and excessive alcohol consumption forces the body into a constant cycle of damage and repair in liver cells. This chronic assault, he argues, can eventually lead to the formation of tumors as a way for the body to protect these vulnerable cells and better metabolize the alcohol. Colorectal cancer. Similar to its effect on the liver, the author suggests that alcohol's damaging effects on cells lining the colon and rectum can also trigger tumor development. He explains that repeated exposure to high levels of alcohol can lead to chronic inflammation and cellular damage in these areas, increasing the risk of colorectal cancer. Breast cancer. The author links alcohol consumption to an increased risk of breast cancer, particularly in women, through its impact on hormone balance. He explains that alcohol can disrupt the delicate balance between estrogen and progesterone, leading to elevated estrogen levels and suppressed progesterone levels. This hormonal imbalance, he argues, is a significant risk factor for breast cancer, particularly when combined with other dietary and lifestyle factors. It's important to emphasize that the author's perspective on alcohol and cancer risk is presented within the context of his overall argument about the dangers of the modern diet and the importance of a carnivore diet.